What's up, guys? Python here, back with another video, and today we're making a video that I really do not want to make. We are going to talk about what is wrong with the New York Rangers. We are only 14 games in, and yet there are way too many concerns than there should be, considering the way that they are playing. We're going to talk about it all. Before we do, though, be sure to leave a like on the video if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans. We cover them heavily here on the channel, and turn on your notifications too so you know when I upload a video. But we got a lot to talk about with this because there's a lot of concerns with the New York Rangers. And I also asked you guys on Twitter, which, by the way, follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description if you want to be featured in future videos. But I asked you guys, we'll get to what you guys said later, what your biggest concern is. But let's start with my concerns and why I think the Rangers are struggling. Number one, let's start with the defensive side of the puck, because I think that's where the main issues really are when it comes to this team. I discussed it in depth on the podcast with my co-hosts Nick and Nico. Go check it out if you didn't check it out. Episode 15 is our latest episode, and we really go in depth as to why the Rangers have struggled. But we talked about the way that they play defense, not just in terms of them turning the puck over or lazy play or anything. We go in depth of how they specifically play systematically defensively, and quite frankly, the way that they're playing defensively is not going to cut it. They try to play this style where they protect the house, and quite frankly, it's just not working the way that they're playing. They're not blocking shots. They're not tying anyone up in front to the point where they're stopping deflection goals. And the most important thing that you really got exposed for yesterday against the Islanders, they were not there at all and acting quick on those rebound opportunities that the Islanders got. And this has been a continuous habit nonstop where you're watching guys deflect pucks in and get the loose rebounds in front. Those are probably the two biggest ways that the Rangers are allowing goals this season thus far. And yeah, look, they've been turning the puck over. That's an issue as well. They have been allowing rushes the other way, but for the most part, they haven't, in my opinion, at least from what I've been able to tell. I don't know if there's a stat to back it up, but from the eye test at least, that's not where the most goals are coming from opposing teams. To me, it is the loose pucks in front and those tipping goals. Rangers have to be better. If you're going to protect the house, then actually play solid hockey. But it also affects them offensively, the way that they're playing defensively, because the way they are playing defense, where they are protecting the house, you're not covering the point, and you're allowing the point to just get wide open shots on you, and you're not closing the passing lanes from the point to point side of things, and you're not allowing a rush the other way. Look at the way that they almost got a goal yesterday with the Jimmy Vesey opportunity. Vinny Trocheck plays a good defensive effort there near the point, and Jimmy Vesey ends up going free on a breakaway, and the Rangers almost get a goal. That's how you need to play defensively. You need to be able to cover the point, and for a team that really thrives on scoring goals off the rush, look at the way they've been scoring all season long. Look at that goal Panarin and Kreider got yesterday, the one they almost scored too. Look at the way opening night too, a lot of those goals, the playoffs, all I think about is that opening goal, game one against Tampa Bay, Mika and Kreider off the rush. You look at the way they score their goals. That is how they thrive. And if you're trying to play this style of defense where you're protecting the house and nobody's covering the point, you're not forcing turnovers there at the point and making it any easier to get rushes the other way. So they kind of go hand in hand, the two, as to why they're not playing good offensively and why they're not playing good defensively. They go hand in hand here, but we'll also talk more in depth offensively with how they could improve things. But defensively, yeah, turnovers they absolutely need to limit, because it is absolutely ridiculous. I think they're in the bottom 10 for the most turnovers for a team, might even be bottom 5 for most turnovers for a team per game. That is awful. That is unacceptable. And it starts with the defensive core, because there are a lot of times they try to stretch out the breakout pass from blue line to blue line, and it simply does not work. Jacob Trouba, looking at you with a lot of the turnovers. Keandre Miller is notorious for turning the puck over. It's mostly from the D-core that the turnovers are happening. And then there are times, too, in the offensive zone where you're just leaving a pass in the middle of the ice, thinking someone's going to be there, and nobody's there. Move the puck deep into the offensive zone. Move it more down and try to work the corners. You are a team that's built to be a bigger, tougher team. Will act like it and actually win some board battles and get in there on the forecheck. I don't understand, for a team that, you know, thrives and tries to be so grit and tough, why are they not playing that style of hockey, wear and tear, where they could be and they could be getting maybe a couple good opportunities. You chase a puck down and set an opportunity up off the cycle and score. Instead, they're not even getting in on the board battles, and they're losing a lot of board battles as well. But for the defense too, like I said, the turnovers, main thing. And then, yeah, the way that they're playing systematically is just not going to cut it defensively at all if they're going to keep playing this way. They need to improve things there. And then in the neutral zone too, I mean, don't get me started on there, because in the neutral zone, they are not playing quality hockey at all. I mean, teams are just flying through. They're doing what the Rangers have been trying to do. Get that blue line to blue line pass, and they're just casually skating through the neutral zone. No big deal. And then they're getting set up, and then it's exactly what I talked about. The Rangers trying to protect the house. The point, just firing one away, and it's either getting tipped in or the loose puck is getting buried. You can't have that happen constantly, and you're leaving your goalies out to dry that way. A lot of people, listen, myself included, agree that Igor hasn't been up to par that he has to the par that he has last year. But it's not like he's playing bad either. The defense in front of him is not allowing him to get the opportunities. He makes the first save. You can't expect him to make the second save every single time on these opportunities here. And deflections, you got to be able to step up and be able to help him out and tie your guy up. Just that simple. And listen, there are times where it might get unlucky and the guy gets a lucky deflection, or you might accidentally have a bounce off your stick. It happens. But if you could limit your opportunities more and actually get in front of the puck, block some shots too, who knows what will happen? Maybe you'll actually play some better defense. I don't know. Maybe try protecting the house the right way. Then if you want to talk in the offensive zone for the Rangers, they have not been great either. I mean, you look at their shots per game, they're not awful. 35 shots per game, sure. But there are times where they are making the extra pass way too much, and they are definitely better in the offensive zone than the defensive zone, don't get me wrong. But there are way too many times where they're making that extra pass, and it's hurting them time and time again. And sure, there are times where they are getting unlucky, hitting post, or the goalie is just robbing them. If you look at their expected goals for and all of that, the advanced analytics, they'll tell you that the Rangers are playing great. But I don't care until I start seeing results. Your top guys are not producing enough. If you look at the even strength numbers, Artemi Panarin has 3 more points than Kaapo Kakko and Alexi Lafreniere at even strength. That's not going to cut it. That is not going to cut it if your top guy is not going to produce enough at even strength. Same with Mika Zibanejad. No goals at even strength. That's another issue. Kreider's not producing at even strength. Trocheck, he's been questionable at even strength at times too. There's just not enough going on at even strength, and that's what's killing them. And it killed them last year as well, as we saw. They are too much of power play merchants, and the power play has looked less effective this year. Why? Because 1, Mika Zibanejad, that one-timer is becoming way too predictable. 2, I don't think Vinny Trocheck belongs on that top power play. I think they need to consider moving him down the second unit. Like I said, going into the season, they should have done, because you have another guy who could tip pucks in front of the net, might make power play 2 more effective, and you balance things out more. And then on power play 1, you get Kakko up there, who's been having a great season. What does it hurt to put him up there? I don't understand, but that's what I would do personally if I were the Rangers. But hey, we know that's not going to happen. And then the other thing that I have an issue with is Gallant changing the lines. Even when he says we're playing a great game, why are you constantly changing the lines and not allowing these guys to develop chemistry together? That is part of the issue. They don't have any chemistry, and they're not going to gain it if you keep splitting these guys up. But at the same time, what choices does he have considering the personnel right now? Because I think that some of the players on this team are, 1, either grossly overpaid, or 2, they're underachieving right now. Kreider had a career year last year. I talked about this with Steven too on episode 14. You can't expect these guys who all had career years. You can't expect them all to do it again. Panarin had a career year. Zibanejad had a career year. Kreider had a career year. Fox had a career year. Like, the list just continues to go on and on with these guys that had career seasons. You can't expect it, especially for veterans. With younger guys like Kakko, Lafreniere, Chytil, if they have a breakout season and they have their career years, okay, maybe you could expect more going forward because of the fact that they're young, because of the fact that there's room to grow. But with the veterans, you're not really expecting that. You're not. And that's part of the issue. A lot of these guys had career years last year, and naturally, they're not going to repeat it as veterans. It's just the way that it is, and you're not seeing Kreider at the 50-goal pace again. You're not seeing Zibanejad score enough at even strength, and you're just not getting enough of it. It's just that simple. And then on the penalty kill, their penalty kill has not been good enough this year as well. The PK is definitely holding them back a lot. They are missing Motte. They are missing Rooney. They are missing Andrew Kopp too. A lot of guys that were killing penalties for them down the stretch last year. They're missing all those guys. Right now, the only penalty killer that you had last year that has remained with the team is Barclay Goodrow. Yeah, Kreider and Zibanejad killed penalties to start the year, but the penalty kill wasn't as effective when those guys were on it compared to when you had Andrew Kopp down the stretch, Tyler Motte, Kevin Rooney. When you had all those guys, Barclay Goodrow, when you had all of them together, it just made the difference. And you're really missing that on the penalty kill. And that's where I have an issue. Again, I ask why. Why did we spend money to keep Ryan Reaves around? Why did we spend money to keep Sammy Blais around when you could have kept both Motte and Rooney at an affordable price to do more than those guys are bringing you to the team? At this point, Reaves is a healthy scratch. Blais isn't really doing much for the team, and I'm scared that his injury kind of threw him off and kind of has made him play worse, because he wasn't this. I mean, last year, we weren't getting much from him, but we at least saw some offensive touch from him. This year, we haven't seen him do really anything at all, and I'm scared that that injury is kind of what hurt him, because he's skating slow too. He just looks off. He looks like he's a step behind. And same with Carpenter as well. Same with Reaves. All these guys, you're really lacking in that bottom six. Jimmy Vesey, I thought, has been a great signing. He's been great on the penalty kill. I've been proven wrong there. But if you were able to keep Motte around, you were able to keep Rooney around, it would have changed things. And I'm sorry, Barclay Goodrow being way too overpaid too. Paying $3.6 million for Barclay Goodrow, I'm sorry, having him on the third line is not cutting it either. I would have rather spent that money on Frank Vatrano. Could you imagine right now you had Frank Vatrano still here on that top line playing with Kreider and Zibanejad, especially with the chemistry they had late in the season, versus what you have right now where Barclay Goodrow is just sometimes playing in the top six even, and it's just not working. And him on the third line, not working. He's fine as a fourth liner, but you're overpaying for a fourth liner when in reality, you could have had Motte and Vatrano back. Do you see the difference between having those two guys where Motte basically does the same things Barclay Goodrow does, maybe even at a higher level? I mean, you're looking at the points this year and he's kind of doing better, I'm just saying. And then you have Frank Vatrano, who is a top six forward and valuable to this team. And that answers a question too, where right now in the top six, you have Jimmy Vesey playing in your top six. That can't be the case. You can't have that. You just have way too many guys right now that are playing in roles that they're not fitting in. And then Kravtsov too, hopefully he could take a step forward, because he has been in and out of the lineup due to the injuries, but hopefully he could stay in the lineup more and give you a bit more here. So there's a lot, but that's pretty much most of it and what is wrong with the Rangers. And my biggest concern is the fact that they aren't turning it around enough. I mean, it's November already. You have until Thanksgiving to be above the playoff line if you want a legit chance to make the playoffs. Everybody knows that's the way that it goes here. And they're not doing it right now. They're not, and we need a serious turnaround, and we need a serious one fast. I'll leave it at that. But now let me get to Twitter and see what you guys had to say, because we actually had a lot of replies. I really do appreciate that. So let's see what all of you had to say. Again, I really do appreciate this. NYR Rocky says, lack of depth, Trouba and Igor. Igor, like I mentioned earlier, I think that the defense is not helping him out at all. I mean, he's making the initial saves. He is. It's those second chances that other teams are getting. It's the deflection goals that other teams are getting. And what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? The defense was better last year than it is this year, because you're getting underachievers like Jacob Trouba, like you mentioned, which, I don't know, it's a little fishy what's going on with Trouba too. A lot of maintenance days. Is this him having an injury? Is this him skipping practices? What's going on there? A little fishy there. But if he's not healthy, why are you playing? You're dragging the team down, and especially Keandre Miller, who has been your best defenseman all season long. He's getting dragged down by Trouba like crazy, and Trouba's not leading by example out there. He's not at all. Sorry. He's not at all. And that's just the reality of the situation. And he should be playing if he's hurt. He shouldn't. And Braden Schneider, he's been brutal too. So you have two guys on your right side that haven't been doing great. Fox has been up and down. I think for the most part, he's been good, though. Hayek, he's been turning the puck over a lot. I mean, he's actually looked better than we thought, but he is turning the puck over a lot. At the same time, I don't know. He's been one of the better guys. Lindgren, up and down from him as well, but he's been one of the better defensemen. And then, who am I for? Oh, yeah, Zach Jones. He's been all right as well. There are times where he looks invisible, but... And then lack of depth, yeah, like I touched on before, you could have had more guys in this lineup, but you elect to spend your money in stupid ways. It's just that simple. But that's all I have to say to that reply. And then we wasted 15 years of Henrik Lundqvist. Oh my God. And then he says, inability to finish games. That's another point, too. The Rangers have been one of the worst third period teams this year for a team that was great last year in the third period. They have been awful this year in the third period. And why? I don't have the answer, but they have been awful, choking leads night in and night out. It's got to stop. It is Alain Vigneault-esque in a way, but it needs to stop. And yeah, they are top 5 or I should say bottom 5, bottom 10 in the league for goals against in the third period. Yeah, not good. Not good at all, and they need to step that up. And it's not good. First period, too, they aren't starting on time either, I'd say. I mean, forget just inability to finish games. I don't think they're starting on time. For the most part, it's always the second period where the Rangers come out to play and dominate. The third period and first period, they show up late. They're there for the last few minutes of the first period, and then the third period, they're just not there at all. Gallant, I don't know what he's saying to them between the second and third period, but something has to change in terms of that message because it is not working. And then BD3, he says, my biggest concern is Trouba, honestly. He looks noticeably worse this season and is clearly a problem for this team. Yeah, this is the worst we've seen Trouba, and we've seen Trouba play bad. This is awful. This is unplayable. This is AHL level defense from him. And that's not even over exaggerating. Look at where he is on some of these goals. Look at him on the Charlie Coyle goal. How are you 6'5" getting beaten and not taking his stick away? I might be over exaggerating with 6'5", 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is. How are you not taking his stick away when you're a tough guy like that? Come on. He'll occasionally throw the big hit. Who cares? Who cares? You're a traffic cone out there. You are. Might have to bring back that bit, huh? And then Zalo says 5-on-5. Laugh, Hedel, Kakko reunited could be good, however, if they're getting third line minutes, especially Kakko. Laugh and Miller gonna need a new contract at the end of the season. Trouba's mid. Rangers have a lot of expensive players. Listen, I said this on the podcast. I really have a gut feeling if the Rangers miss the playoffs, there are 4 major guys that I think go. I think that you're going to see Jacob Trouba. They're gonna try to force his way out. Same with Chris Kreider. But the 2 guys that I think are locked to get traded, I think Ryan Lindgren, who I don't want to get traded, but I think he's going to get traded. And I think that Barca Goudreau's going to get traded because, quite frankly, he's overpaid. And you could get fourth liners to do the same thing he's doing for a reasonable price. And that's what I would do. And then, yeah, I think that the 5-on-5, you'll get more from that third line. I think they're going to dominate out there. But what about the top 6? What about the top 6? I hope it works. I hope it works, but I do have my concerns there. New York Style 24 says the defense. Keeping it simple, keeping it short, and yeah, the defense has been awful. I went in depth there. I'm not going to add on to it, but you're not wrong. That's all I'll say there. Pistol Pete says defense easily. Got carried by Igor last year and getting exposed this year. Yeah, completely agree. Like I said, you can't expect them to do it every night for you. You can't. And I know that he's one of the best goalies in the league. I know. But you can't expect them to do it for you every night. You can't. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise that he isn't doing it every night because of the fact that maybe this team is actually going to get aware of the situation here and they'll actually act on it and they'll actually make moves to actively improve defensively and offensively because they don't have Igor bailing them out every single night. So I completely agree there. 100%. Black Dog RVA says, my worry would be if they just flat out never get it going this season. You see teams cool down sometimes after a surprising run. As whack as the finish was last night, there were positives for sure. Let's go, boys. Listen, I'm not going to deny there were certainly positives about last night, but at the same time, all those positives get thrown out the window when you play a third period like you did, and when you choke these games like you have over the past few nights. It's inexcusable. They haven't had a full 60 since opening night. Sure, maybe against Philly, you could argue, but outside of those two games, you haven't played a full 60. You haven't showed up enough, and yeah, sure, this team could easily turn around and shut us all up, but will they? But will they? I agree that that's a concern, them never showing up at all this season, but right now with the way they're playing, what makes you think that they could turn it around? I mean, they have nothing going on for them that's good. Nothing. Can you name one thing? I can't. I seriously can't. Maybe getting unlucky offensively, but what are you going to win games? 6-4, 6-3, 7-5? Like, no. If you look at how teams that win games like that perform in the playoffs, right down the drain. Look at the Florida Panthers last year. That is the perfect example of you can't win games like that. You need to play quality defense, and that is where the biggest concern comes in. You're not playing good enough defense, and this team seriously needs a disciplinarian in that locker room to get the defense straightened out, whether it's a new defensive coach, whether it's a new head coach. You need a disciplinarian in there because Gallant, quite frankly, seems too loose with these guys in the clubhouse. It's just that simple. And then that Sports Maniac. Hey, Nico, what are you doing here? Says trash bottom four defensive pairings being power play merchants and Igor regressing. Listen, I went down the rabbit hole with Igor regressing. I don't know if I agree with that there. I think that he's just, he has taken a bit of a step back, but it's not significant like people are saying, if you mean that. But I don't think he's regressing that much. I think it's, again, the team in front of him. Where are they? Where are they? They're not playing good enough defense, and this whole video has pretty much been about defense, so I don't want to really touch too much more on it. Power play merchants, agree. Yeah, you're getting exposed for not having as good of a power play this year like last year. You're getting exposed, and see what happens when it doesn't work? This is why 5-on-5 was the biggest concern, because it wasn't sustainable the way they were winning games last year. And then the trash bottom four defensive pairs, yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's no veteran at all in that bottom six outside of Trouba, and Trouba has not been good enough at all. At all. And then Tim Business says, the New York Rangers. Perfect way to end it. But let me know your biggest concerns if you didn't reply to the tweet in the comment section. Would love to hear from you guys. There's a lot here to unpack. There's a lot here that the Rangers need to get going. And let me know your level of panic right now. And let me know what you think. To me personally, Gallant's job could be on the line soon. These next 7 games are huge for Gallant. Head into Thanksgiving, you need to step your game up. And especially with some of the teams you're playing, the Coyotes, the Kraken, the Sharks, the Ducks, the Kings. Those are all games that you should win. Nashville, maybe even too. These are big tests. You have to win these games, or there is seriously going to be someone's job has to be in jeopardy if they go, I don't know, 2-5, 1-6, 0-7. If someone's job isn't on the line at 0-7, I mean, oh boy. But that's all I have to say about this. Again, leave a like if you did enjoy this. Subscribe if you guys are new. Let me know your thoughts all in the comment section down below. Would love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go Rangers.